Hey guys, welcome to today's video on how to use exercise to increase your energy. And as you can see, I'm filming from my wonderful villa here in Bali and it is just gorgeous. I'll be staying here just over the festive season on a short break. And yeah, so as I film, you get to experience me enjoying the gorgeous sunshine here in Bali. So if you are new to my channel, hello, where have you been? My name is Elika. I'm a trusted advisor and energy optimization coach for business leaders who want to have more energy. So on this channel, I talk about all areas of your life that could be taking energy away from you and all the habits and lifestyle hacks that you need to make sure that energy is your most measurable success that you have in your life. And so if you are really interested in learning how to make sure that you can keep your energy in overflow, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe so that you can make sure that you are literally on top of all of the lifestyle hacks that I share with my clients and everything that I do to make sure that I have harmony personally and professionally by keeping my energy in overflow. So let's jump into today's topic. Now, when we talk about exercise, I really want to talk about the things that exercise does. Probably I would say that there's going to be three distinct ones that I can really bring to mind as really important that really helps you to increase energy. But I also want to kind of give clarity around what people perceive exercise does because it's very different. So on that, let's say the first thing that I would say about exercise for energy is that most people approach exercise as the best form of weight loss, and therefore when they lose weight, of course that typically results in having more energy. Now the truth is, exercise for weight loss is not the best form of weight loss. It is a great form of weight loss, but as we know, when we look at our diet, we have way bigger impacts, and all of us have experienced when we've exercised, we get this huge appetite, and then we have these cheat meals because we can, and we realize that what the 300 calories that I burnt on the treadmill or whatever, I just ate in twice over it in that burger. So what I would say to you is that when we look at weight loss, there's multiple ways, and obviously nutrition is one of them and exercise is one of them. When we look at increasing our energy through exercise, we really want to understand that what exercise is doing, which is increasing our energy, firstly, is to shift stagnant energy through our body. So this is what I love when I look at the Eastern practices. When you look at more of the traditional ways of exercising, it's what I use with my clients is to think about movement as the way of exercising. And so you see in all the parks here in Asia and in China, you see it like people doing Tai Chi, and it's just more relaxed. And you see it also in India, the focus is more on yoga and movement and breath work. And so there's more of a focus on this important element, which is when you move, you actually shift energy through the body. So the first thing here is you want to look at your exercise as, how do I move stagnant energy? Imagine that there's a lake, and the lake has had no access to fresh water. So you look in it and what you see is this stagnant, dirty, thick lake. And imagine now that lake gets huge rainfall and all the stagnant dirt gets shifted and all the fresh water comes in. Or imagine that there's a source of fresh water coming through from the sea, and now that lake gets populated with all this fresh water. So you want to imagine that your body, without that fresh flow of movement that shifts everything inside it, it's going to be like a stagnant lake inside it. You're going to experience stagnant energy. Sometimes this can manifest in things like constipation, or just a feeling like in your gut that something is stuck. You're going to feel it in your joints. You're going to feel that stiffness. If you imagine the kind of the flowiness that you see of like a fish, and what is it doing? It's constantly moving, slowly, but moving. And that's how we want to experience life. We want to experience life by thinking of, how do we move through life constantly? How do we take a day and make sure that in that day, it's broken down by lots and lots of movement, because we're designed to move. And when we move, energy doesn't get stuck in the body, it moves. And when energy is moving through the body, if you imagine energy is flowing That's what gives you this energy. The energy comes from this consistent flow of energy that moves through you. So that's the first one I want to talk about. And really what I want you to hear from there is how you think about movement versus exercise. Okay. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was, and this really goes back to our evolutionary past, about how exercise, or let's say now describe this as movement, how when you move and think about things, there's very little studies actually that have been around this, and it's so funny because they're starting to make this association through some of the studies that exist, and there's still very few that is able to show us exactly the details of how it works. But we can see it through neuroscience studies that there is a connection from the brain that happens when you're thinking about something and moving at the same time. This is why things like EMDR studies have come, or practices in psychology have become really popular, and other practices around somatic movement. This is why yoga has been particularly really good. So for example, they've done some studies where they've seen when people have gone into yoga positions, like an example where someone's gone into a yoga position. There is one that's called like the child's pose, where you put your feet up in the air and your pelvic floor is held up. And so people that have experienced some sexual trauma, they find that position is very exposing and very triggering. And so this is showing you the connection of the brain and the memory, obviously, to an association of something that they experience bad, and to a movement in the body that's associated with that. But equally, you can use this in a different way. So like in evolutionary terms, when we look at how men used to hunt, they would go out into the wilderness. And if you think about how men associate resolving their problems today as men, they don't sit like in circles or face to face looking each other in the eyes like women do, or how they've been forced to do in therapy. Men actually do best resolving their problems by going out with men, walking, doing an activity. Think about golf, think about how hunting used to be, and even cyclists now, I see when men cycle, and what they do is they actually think and talk about their problems, but not looking each other face to face, actually side by side and doing it. And that comes from that old evolutionary way of going out to hunt. And obviously they would talk about things, and resolve things as they're moving. And so what's happening is the thoughts, imagine we have over 60,000 thoughts, and those thoughts are creating our belief systems. And so when we've got something that we're really struggling with, and like our mind, for example, is in a future of a problem that could occur, therefore it's creating anxiety, and we're not really present. But then you're thinking about those things, you're ruminating, and you're moving at the same time. What happens is, as the blood flow and the energy moves through the body, and your brain is connected to that thought, it allows your body to process that thought in a different way. And so I see that when men are trying to process, you think that they need to sit down and talk about their feelings, but actually they need to think about what is causing an issue and go out for a walk, right? And go out on cycling, go for a run, and just allow that movement of the body as their brain is thinking, and allow that connection of the brain to the body to help with the processing of the information. And I think that this is so undervalued as a way of getting more energy, because when you are overloaded with information in your head, or when you're ruminating over something that you haven't resolved, that is taking up your precious life force, your precious energy. And if you can move whilst you're processing that, you will naturally find that the information seems to shift. It's like you create that space by not talking about it, which is also creating more information exchange, but just by shifting it through the somatic intelligence of the body, as opposed to relying on verbal communication. And yeah, women tend to do better in things that are more slower movement. So yoga and Pilates, if you think about yin yoga, which I love, where you just sit and maybe the thoughts just come up, and then you just sit and you just notice how you let the emotion come up. The emotion firstly could be uncomfortable, right? That you feel uncomfortable in your body, and you let that energy that's stuck in the body release, and then it becomes comfortable. Then a thought might come in, and you just breathe through it, and you just let it pass like a cloud passing over the sky. And, you know, that can be the way that we connect, processing our thoughts and our feelings and connection with movement. And so I would like you to take away from that the second way of having more energy is by creating space mentally for new ideas, new thoughts, new inspiration to come through, by releasing heavy thoughts, old thoughts, heavy thoughts that are in your mind. And you can do that through movement. And that's how, you know, exercise is going to help you to create more energy. Okay, so my third one, and this is very much linked to what I see in my yoga practice, which is that when you exercise, you have to focus. So exercise is a brilliant form of mindfulness. Of course, the extreme of yin yoga, where you literally sat in a position and just breathing through it. Remember, yoga was originally a preparation of the body to sit in meditation, so that makes sense. But even when I think about how I approach my weightlifting, I use dumbbells that are not overly challenging, but I do, you know, these primal moves like squats and lunges. And as I do every move, I really stay present with which muscle is being activated. So if, for example, I'm doing a deadlift, as I lean over, I want to make sure that my abs are engaged. I want to make sure that my glutes are activated. And then as I lean down, I literally visualize the energy running through the muscles of my hamstrings as I go down, and the same up. And I use the breath to control that flow. And so there's a lot of mindfulness involved in that. And what does that do? Mindfulness allows focus on one thing. So this is the beauty of meditation. Meditation is not about keeping you from not thinking. It's about focusing your mind on one singular thing. It's the art of concentration. And so when you use exercise as a way to focus, or when you focus in exercise, what happens is you're way more aware of your energy in your body. And because you're more aware of it, that focused energy allows you to feel lighter, more expansive. And this is how you get to feel energized, by receiving the energy, by focusing the energy through the body and experiencing that, being more aware of it. And that's how you become energized. Oh, it got a bit windy, but I love it. So that last one is really about how, because exercise creates you to focus, that focus allows you to be more in your body and experience the feeling of more energy, and therefore feel more energized. So I would love to hear what you think about the things that I shared today, and how that's really helps you to think about how energy can be created just through our exercise, and not in the way that you imagine, like just like going hardcore, sweating, pushing, like, and then going, yeah. You know, I didn't really talk about the neuroscience around it, but of course, you know, when we do all of these things, the beauty of all of this energy is that it's creating these neurotransmitters in the brain, like these release of dopamine and endorphins. These endorphins are like feel-good hormones. And so you feel so much good. And when you feel so much good, obviously you feel these higher frequencies of energy, like joy and happiness, peace, you know, and that's where we want to be. And so, of course, this is why I love exercise as a mental well-being practice versus looking at exercise as the way to keep your body weight loss down. I think that it's part of that, but I actually think that exercise is the most effective way to have brilliant mental well-being. And that is because of all of these endorphins that your brain releases when you exercise. So that is the energy that you're getting from exercises. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to explore this further, then, you know, let me know what you would like to talk about in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experience of using any exercise as a way to give you energy. And just, yeah, any questions, comments that you have on what I've shared today, leave them in the comments below, and I look forward to reconnecting in the next video. Take care.